So, good afternoon, Larry, and welcome to Design Dialogues hosted by Fabulous. This is your host, Bhavya, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Larry Wen, the founder and principal architect of AOE China. Just to give a brief introduction about your studio, AOE is in China, is a dynamic architecture and interior design studio based in Beijing, known for its innovative and forward-thinking approach towards design, with a diverse portfolio spanning from residential, commercial, hospitality, education, and urban planning. The studio seamlessly blends technology, culture, and sustainability to create spaces that enhance modern living while respecting local tradition environments. Led by the visionary director Larry Wen, an architect with over 3 decades of global experience, AOE strives to redefine urban living, crafting spaces that are not just functional but deeply connected to the people who inhabited them. So, thank you so much for joining us today, Larry.
Okay, thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to, communicate with you.
So before starting the questions, I would like to inform you that this interview will be published on the website of Fabulous. So sign up to the Fabulous website and you'll get the access to watch this interview. So shall we proceed with the questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So first question, AOE China emphasizes on creating vibrant human city spaces of the future. Could you share how this philosophy has influenced your approach towards designing urban environments, particularly in balancing modern technology with cultural heritage?
Okay, AOE, we started our office in 2016. And the name of AOE kind of reflects our design philosophy, which means architecture of event. It's actually derives from the American architect Bernard Trimi. He has a word. It's called "There's no architecture without event." That's how the name of the company where it comes from. So in our practice, we focus on to create more events and activities inside the building, outside the building, around the building. So by doing that, we kind of like engage different kind of different types of art forms like installations, multimedia, and also some other technologies. We want to have all these advanced technologies and art forms to enhance the experience in our projects. That's how we approach, our design philosophy.
So, Larry, talking about the project, deconstructing and reconstructing the internal spaces of the One Sino Park to align with the mountain facade is a very remarkable architecture decision that you have taken. So, could you elaborate on the initial design process and how the topography that had influenced the architectural elements of the project?
Okay, when we worked on a project, first we'll do a very thoroughly research on the projects, including the site, also the cities, and also the climate and the lifestyle of the local people, and also the client's expectation. So everything has an impact on the project. When we start this project, the site is a very unique site. One side is facing the city road, and the other side is actually facing a 50 meters deep cliff. So it's very special. When we started this project, we developed a strategy, to have the building, sit on the cliff, create a series terraces to provide very beautiful outdoor space to have very great views. So that's the initial idea of how the building sits on the cliff and the site. And also we developed a concept because when we visit the site, we were impressed by the landform, the rocks, the rock sheets, how it's the fragmentation of those rocks. So in this design, we decided to kind of like have a deconstructive approach. So you can see the building is very dynamic and it's kind of like it's growing from the cliff. So that's how we came up with this idea. And after it's finished, the spaces, it's really amazing and fantastic. The spaces between the fragmented components creates a very dynamic experience inside the building.
So, talking about the facade of the project, it has a very unique aluminium formed 1,000 paper crane facade, which is both visually striking and a symbolically very rich element. So, what inspired this design and how does this reflect the cultural or the social values of that religion?
Well, the project, we studied the site and also the surrounding neighborhood. And also the site is located in new development ideas, and there are a lot of like young people and middle class. So the design is trying to develop a very fashionable and kind of like striking like visual effect for the young generation. So that's how we decided to go with this direction. And I think that after this build, it becomes a landmark for the surrounding communities and also the users. It has a very positive impact on this environment.
So, One Sino Park is described as one of the structural building that transforms into a very vibrant, dreamlike structure in terms when sees at night. So, how did you integrate lighting design to create this dynamic visual identity? And what challenges did you face in achieving this effect?
Well, we worked with the lighting consultant very closely. Usually, the lighting consultant come in a very late stage, but for this project, we worked with the lighting consultant at the very beginning stage, even in the concept stage. We did some lighting design proposal, and we sent it to the lighting consultant. So they give us the feedbacks. So as I mentioned, for the building is a kind of very fragmented. So the challenge is how to express the idea with the lighting design. So it creates a very big challenge for both for me and for the lighting consultant. During the different stages, we worked very close, and we developed a solution to illuminate the fragmented components panels. But you cannot see the lighting fixtures. You cannot really see the the lighting source. So everything is kind of like it becomes a light sculpture. Even during the late stage when we work on the facade, the lighting fixtures are like carefully designed to be hidden. So you don't really see those the lighting fixtures directly. It really becomes a sculpture of light during night. It's very successful.
So, Larry, talking about the integration of the rapid urbanization in shaping the modern city. So, how does your studio AOE ensures that its project they remain responsive to human needs, sustainable practices, and evolving social dynamics?
Well, as I mentioned, uh, when we do a project, we do a very deep research on the project, on the cities, on the location, on the site, on climate. So we want to make sure every design, is kind of like reflect, what we are doing in the city and what we can bring to the city and what we can create for the people of the city. So yeah, I think all the designs is based on this very, very carefully studied design process. We want to make sure the building it works. It's not like just we're creating a object or structure. We want to make sure it really works with the city and the site and the people here.
So the project DUAP China, the design of this project, it integrates technology, sustainability, local culture, and the industrial memory of the site. So could you share your process for balancing these diverse elements while creating a very cohesive and a futuristic educational space for the people?
Yeah, the project is very challenging. The clients kind of have a very high expectation of this project. When we first met, and they told us we want this building to have four key elements. Just like what you said: the sustainability, technology and future, and local culture and industrial. Because the site is actually located in the old factory, so the client want to have some memory of this, the factory industrial buildings. So yeah, as you can see, the four elements, it's kind of like difficult to put them together. So it creates a lot of, challenges for us. But finally, we found a way to how to do this because again, we did a lot of study and we talked to the client a lot and find a way to solve the problem. I think it works. The client's very supportive and sometimes some of the ideas very helpful. So we developed developed a system which is we created a very futuristic environment by creating like a space with a kind of like frames. The elements like sustainability, culture, and the industrial field. It's kind of like a installation and installed inside those frames. And the material we used is kind of like a very silver metallic, aluminum. It creates a very impressive futuristic environment. And also inside the building, we have a lot of elements that is derived from the local Beijing culture architecture. So for example, the color, the red, we call that the Forbidden City red. And also the tiles on some areas, even we put the tiles, it used to be put on the roof, but we designed to have the tiles to be like a feature on the wall. So yeah, you can see a lot of, cultural related elements inside the building. And also for the industrial kind of feel, I think the building is like a giant, industrial space. So people inside, you feel it's kind of like a mix of the futuristic space and also the industrial space. And, for the sustainability, we have a lot of designs that reflects this kind of idea. For example, the materials we used for the furniture and even some wall coverings and even some tiles, they're like a recycled materials. So it actually is very beautiful, materials we used for example, some chairs and tables. And after it's in operation, people love it. And also there are some technologies of the, MEP. We create like a smart buildings, and by engaging this kind of system, all this, the lighting and air quality and MEP stuff, they're kind of like a automatic, generated, to save the power, save the energy.
Studio AOE designs, they often infuse science, technology, art, and culture into your projects. So could you share on how this multidisciplinary approach influences your creative process and the outcomes of your projects that you do?
Well, yeah, I'm always fascinated by the, different types of medias like art, installation, and also the science and technologies. I think it's kind of like a driving force for the development of architecture. So in my projects, if I have a chance, I'd love to have those kind of elements to be incorporated in my design. For example, some of my projects, you can see it's architecture or you can see it's like installation. So it's kind of like a mix of different types of ideas, not just like a traditional architecture. I think by doing this, it's kind of a very, very exciting process to design something that can encourage people for the best of the experience in the space, in the building. And also it creates a atmosphere to encourage people to have a good imagination, to, let's say, stimulate people's imagination. I think it's a very fascinating.
The concept of Rui and the Italian Piazza, it played a very central role in the design of the Sino-Italian Cultural Exchange City Reception Center. So how did you approach blending these culturally significantly elements into a cohesive architecture language that reflects the harmony between the East and the West?
Well, that project is a very special project. It's a kind of like, Sichuan, China, in Chengdu. There's a huge project. It's kind of like a collaboration by Chinese government and Italian government. It's a huge project. They're gonna develop a lot of business over there. So this project will be just like the first project to showcase the huge project. Since it has a very strong theme, because the building should somehow reflect the relationship between the Chinese and the Italian. So it creates a very strong very for this project. So what we're doing is that we have this project in two different parts. two different. One part we call it Italian pavilion, and the other part we call that Chinese pavilion. And the function of the Italian pavilion is like a showroom, exhibition space, and the Chinese pavilion is kind of like for spaces for meetings and for food and beverage. So this two part is kind of like complementary parts of this building, and they're kind of linked by a uh, a small lake, and so it's very interesting. And also we create like two paths. One path is from Earth, and another path is from the lake. So it means like one belt and uh, one belt and one road. So by doing this, we kind of linked these two programs together, and also we have a very good meaning of that. It's called Rui, because Rui in China is it's very symbolic for the good life, for happiness. So that's how we bring these ideas into this project.
So Larry, it's often said that at every project is a new learning for every architect that they work upon. So after completing this project, the reception center, what was one of the major key takeaways that you have taken from this project that is going to stay with you throughout your architecture journey?
Well, I think again, uh, we are creating the project that caring about the people in the space and what's happening in the space. So for every project, we want to maximize the pleasure for people inside building. For example, the exhibition of the Rui project, right? We did in Chengdu. After it finished, it becomes a very popular building for the local people. It's very far away from the Chengdu city, the city, central city, right? It's about like 40 kilometers away from. So, but still, a lot of people they go there and they visit the building, they take pictures, and they enjoy the space. And also, it becomes a very popular space for having different kinds of events. For example, there are some like fashion shows, like a luxury car, shows, and also sometimes it becomes a museum. People showing their artworks over there, and there are a lot of like events and activities in the building. So this is exactly what we want to create for our practice.
So, Larry, moving to the last question for the day. So, reflecting on your studio's AOE's journey so far, what have been one of the most defining moments of your studio, and how do you envision the next chapter of your practice in shaping the future of design and architecture?
Well, we're gonna still keep our key, principles for our practice. And also, I think the next step will be, because we realize the nature is a very important factor for our future, design. Because I think the most beautiful things are in the nature. So we got a new project. We want to make sure our buildings, our designs work with nature very nicely. We don't destroy the nature. We want to create something more and more blended into the nature and works much better way with the nature. And also, we want the people to feel that, to experience that. Sometimes I visit some very nice buildings. I feel, wow, the building it's kind of like uh, it's kind of like a vessel, to have the different people inside. The most beautiful things is still the nature. So I think that's gonna be our next move in the future.
Thank you so much for giving your precious time. It was a pleasure to have you here. And don't forget to sign up to the Publish website. Thank you so much, Larry.